Chapter 12 starts with a new little poem. Who guards his tongues as they would keep a treasure rich and rare, will keep himself from trouble free and dodge both fear and care. Chapter 12. Who guards his tongue as he would keep a treasure rich and rare, will keep himself from trouble free and dodge both fear and care. The trouble with a great many people is that they remember this too late. Reddy Fox is one of these. Reddy is smart and shy and clever in some ways, but he hasn't yet learned that he needs to guard his tongue. And half the trouble he gets into is also because of that unruly member. You see, it's a boastful tongue and an untruthful tongue. And that's the worst combination for making trouble. That's the trouble that I know of. It's landed him in all kinds of scrapes in the past. And here he is in another one, all account of that tongue. Now, jolly round Mr. Sun, he was kicking up his rosy blanket off and was smiling down on the great world as he began his daily climb up into the blue, blue sky. The jolly little sunbeams were already dancing through the green forest, chasing out of the black shadows. And Reddy Fox knew that it was high time for him to be over at the hill, that hill where Prickly Porky the porcupine lives. With lagging steps, he sneaked along from tree to tree, peering out from behind each one, anxiously, afraid to go. And still even more afraid not to go, for fear that he'd be called a coward. He'd almost reached the foot of the hill without seeing anything out of the usual, and without any sign of Uncle Billy Possum. And he was just beginning to hope that old Uncle Billy wasn't there and that he said he would, when a voice right out over his head said, "I certainly am glad to see you over here. You's as good as your word, Brer Fox. We need someone brave like you to find out what this strange creature is that's been chasing us weeums." Reddy looked up with a sickly grin. There sat Uncle Billy Possum in the pine tree, right over his head, and he knew that there was no backing out now. He'd got to go on. He had to swagger and look very bold and brave. "I told you I'm not afraid. If there's anything queer around here, I'll find out what it is," he said. And once more he boasted, but Uncle Billy noticed that his voice sounded a wee bit trembly. "Keep right on that foot of the hill. That's where I saw it yesterday." "I'm glad that you've got someone to be so brave," replied Uncle Billy. Reddy looked at him sharply, but there wasn't a trace of a smile on Uncle Billy's face. And Reddy couldn't tell whether Uncle Billy was making fun of him or not. So there, being nothing else to do, he went on. He reached the foot of the hill without seeing or hearing a thing out of the usual. The green forest seemed just as it always had. Red-Eye the Vireo, he was pouring out his little old song of gladness, quite as if everything had just as it should be. And Reddy's courage began to come back. Nothing had happened, and nothing was going to happen. Of course not. It was all some of Peter Rabbit's foolishness. Someday he'd catch that Peter Rabbit, and he'd put an end to such silly tales. Ah, what was that? Reddy's sharp ears had caught a sound up near the top of the hill, and he stopped short and looked up. For just a little wee minute, Reddy couldn't believe his eyes, and what his eyes saw right away. Coming down the hill, straight towards him, was the strangest thing he'd ever seen. He couldn't see any legs, he couldn't see any head, he couldn't see any tail. It was round like a ball, but it was the strangest looking ball that he'd ever seen. It was covered with old leaves. Reddy wouldn't believe it that it was alive, but for the noises it was making. For just a wee minute, he stared, and then, what did you think he did? Why, he gave a frightened yelp and put his tail between his legs and ran. He ran just as fast as he could with his legs would go. Yes, sir, that's what Reddy Fox did. The end. God is great all the time. All the time. God is great.